Hi, I'm called Peg Lamp Bob because I've been collecting peg lamps for many years, and I'd like to describe some of these peg lamps to you. Peg lamps are really no different than any other oil type lamp, except they have a peg on the bottom so that it will fit in an existing candlestick. Well, they started out in whale oil, and this happens to be a patent in England in 1787 called the Miles patent, and it was an agitable font, so it didn't spill the oil, and you still had to lift the oil up with a wire. And this particular patent also included a small hole here to reach if any excess oil could drip back down into the font. This particular lamp is sheet brass, and it has a hollow tapered peg. From that point we went into glass type fonts, and this one has a very simple cork burner, but this is a double wick, and Benjamin Franklin said that, well, if you put two wicks close together they give more than 2 times the amount of light, and he was proven right when you could measure light more accurately than you could then. And again, this one has a tapered glass peg, and it's tapered so it would fit into most any socket. It happens to be displayed in a dolphin type glass candlestick. In the middle of the 1800s, about 1830, they started experimenting with adding alcohol or a more gaseous fluid, and they called it camphene and or a burning fluid was the general term. And they had these caps on here to help put out the fire and or to keep the gases from escaping. This one happens to be different in that it has a hollow peg that also holds some of the oil, so that you didn't run out of oil, have to refill them quite as often. Well, you got into right after the Civil War, kerosene became available, and it was very inexpensive, so the fonts got larger. This is an early kerosene because you still had to use a wire to lift the wick up, and a flat wick in this case, to get, and no chimney was used at this point. Then came the kerosene era, and the kerosene era started using burners of this type called the Cosmos burner. The wick was flat in the oil and it curled up round, and it had an adjustable wheel here to raise and lower the wick. And that burner continued into the kerosene era as flat wick burners as well. Well, we got later in the 1800s and they started making them fancier, and they would add, and you could add a shade to the lamp as well, or globe it's called, when it deflects the light upward. And the spring clips were put on the peg so that it would adjust itself to fit in any particular candlestick. Some of these are a little bit slow there, it fits in. Then later in the 1800s, the earlier lamp was probably of French origin. They did a lot of hand decorating. This one is of the United Kingdom or English origin, and it has a shade type instead of a globe, where it would deflect the light downward if you wanted to use it for reading purposes. Again, it fits into a candlestick. In this case, it's in a chamber type stick. I think that's about all I can say at this point, or want to say at this point, and I hope you've become interested in peg lamps as I have.
All right.